If you're struggling with debt and don't know where to start or how to even get organized, you're going to want to watch the entirety of this video because we're going to be creating our own debt payment schedule or a debt tracker from scratch. We're also going to be talking about the strategies that you have at your disposal when it comes to paying down debt. So make sure to stick around to find out what those are. And this debt tracker is pretty incredible. It's actually going to tell us the exact month, the exact year when you will become debt free. So if you're ready to say F debt, let's get into it. All right, guys, so surprise, I've actually done most of the legwork for you. This is the free debt template and you can find it in a link down in the description. So all you have to do is download it. It's completely free. So make sure you do that so you can follow along. Here we go. My 4-step framework for anything related to personal finance is track, plan, adjust, succeed. It works for anything like creating a budget or creating this debt payment calculator or tracker. So the first thing you're going to want to do is look at this balance date and just enter the first of the month that you start entering this data in. This is information that isn't that important, but it comes in handy later on. So the next section here, creditor info table, this is where we're going to start tracking our actual debt. Creditor type, you're just going to want to enter whatever is helpful for you to remember what the debt is. So you can do things like name the company that it's from, or just a generic student loan. Here we're going to do a car loan, and here we go. The next section, current balance, you're going to want to take the actual balance that you actually owe as of today and put it on this spreadsheet. So I'm just going to make up some fake numbers here that can help us get through our example. There we go, a nice $30,000 in debt, yikes. The next section here, interest rate. So again, the same thing. We're gonna wanna get the exact interest rate from your debt, from your agreement. I'm going to just make up some numbers here for this example. There we go. And minimum payment. Again, you're gonna wanna get the actual minimum payment for each of your debts. You'll notice over here that it also calculates your interest only based on the information provided. So typically your minimum payment will be a flat amount that's larger than your interest. So for, again, this example, I'm just gonna enter numbers that are slightly larger than this interest number here. But again, you're gonna wanna get the actual minimum payment so we know what is the least amount you have to pay every single month. So after we've done that, you see the total here, $30,000 of debt. The minimum payment that we have to pay every single month is $170. Okay, so that was simple, right? That's really the tracking phase. We're getting everything onto one spreadsheet so we can see all of it in a row, all of it at once. And the next part is our planning stage. And this is important because we need to know how much we're going to be paying, how long it's going to be taking, et cetera, et cetera. So this area down here, this monthly payment area, this is where you can enter how much money you're going to be allocating towards your debt every single month. Now, remember, it needs to be at least $170, right? Because anything less than that, and you're going to be owing extra fees and possibly getting your interest rates hiked based on the agreement that you have. So let's just say for right now, you are planning on paying $300 a month towards your debt. This next section down here, this is called initial snowball. So this is the difference between the amount of money that you're going to be paying versus the amount of money that you have to be paying. So $130 is the variance. And I will show you what this means in a second as we scroll down here. And this is our strategy section. So there are many strategies that are available to you when it comes to paying down your debt. There are two really main popular ones. So there's the snowball method, which ranks your debt in order of the lowest balance all the way down to the largest balance. Now, this one is good because it does help you sort of mentally. It gets debt off your books quicker. It might not be the most cost efficient way to do it, but it does give you that nice mental boost when you're like, all right, 1 down, let's get the next 3. All right, 2's down, here we go. And they just keep snowballing on top of each other because what's happening is every time you pay off, so for example, the first one, you're gonna be paying off the Visa, right? Because that's the smallest original balance. And then once you pay that off, anything that's been going to the Visa, you roll into the next debt, which is going to be your Amex, and then that snowballs on top of itself, right? And you gain momentum. So you pay off one, all that money that you're paying on the first one goes to the next one, and then boom, you're paying down that one. And then all of that money continues to go to the third one, right? And you see how this is building and building and building. So this strategy section, again, it's a drop-down menu. We're gonna get to all the options in a second, but it shows the original balance. It is ranked here by lowest amount to highest amount. It shows you the total interest that you will be paying based on the criteria that you've entered up here. So again, your minimum payments, how much you're going to be paying monthly, etc. And it shows you how many months you're going to be paying off each of the loans. So the first loan here, looks like it's going to take us 20 months to pay this off. And your last loan, it looks like it's going to take approximately 10 years to get through all of this. And this is very helpful because if you're really trying to be aggressive with paying down your debt, $30,000 paying it off in 10 years isn't really that acceptable, right? So you want to be as aggressive as possible. So we're going to play around with this number a little later on, but I just kind of wanted to show you how this strategy section works. And here we're going to see the total interest paid and our debt-free date, right? Because F, debt. So that's the snowball method. Again, lowest value to highest value. That's going to be the order. The next sort of most popular one is called the debt avalanche method. And this is the highest interest percentage first, all the way down to the lowest interest percentage. The advantage with this one is it's probably the most cost efficient to you. As you can see, this debt here is about $200 less. So I'm going to go back to Snowball real quick and we're going to see the difference. Yeah, it's about $200. And the reason, again, because interest is such a killer, the interest rates, where getting rid of the highest interest rate first will be impactful for you. And in this case, the months to pay off actually is about the same. So I think it was 126 for the snowball method. Sorry, 124 and 123 for the so it's 1 month less, but it's a $200 savings, right? But the first debt doesn't get paid off for 31 months. So if we go back to the snowball method, it was 20 months. So that's basically an extra year before the first one's paid off. That's why I mean the snowball method is going to be the best, mental health one for you. And the avalanche method is going to be most likely the most cost efficient. So you need to sort of balance what would be best for you. For me, when I paid down $43,000 of debt in just under a year, we used the snowball method, and it was really nice to just see each of them get knocked off faster and faster and faster. And it just made us more motivated to keep going and keep going. And we saw the light at the end of the tunnel. So that's the debt avalanche method. All right, so the next one on the list here is just the order entered in the table. It's going to be simply how you listed them in the order here. So you could see that it's just literally the list that you entered. So I'll try to get both of them in the screen. So Amex, Visa, student loan, car loan, and that's the same exact order. It doesn't matter the balance or the interest rate. And you can see here, this has so far been the least efficient way to pay down your debt with $7,200 of interest. So again, the snowball method was about $7,000. The avalanche method was about $6,800. And again, you see that the months to pay it off is still about the same. So take that for what it's worth. This is just kind of another way to look at it. I wouldn't necessarily call this a strategy, but it's just another way that you can sort of look at how everything works. All right, these two custom sections. So we're going to go over those quickly. So this can be filled out in this section up here. However you rank your debt, and you can rank these from 1 to, in this case, 4, how you want them to get paid off, that's how they will be ordered. So let's say, for example, you're like, I am so over the student loan. I just want to let this go. I just buy. And then the Amex, and then we're going to go with the car loan and then the Visa, right? And you can see them shifting down below. So now we have that. And we can go down to see how efficient it is. And as you can see, yikes, it is not very efficient. So because the student loan is such a huge amount, it's going to take you 81 months to pay it off. And your interest is going to be over $11,000 and about an extra year or so tacked on to the total months that you'll have to pay off. So again, this could be helpful for you if you're really just sick and tired of a certain debt and you want to get rid of it. But again, you have to just kind of play around with this. You don't want to be paying $4,000 extra and be paying off debt for another year just to kind of appease your mind. Like, you have to sort of find the balance somewhere, right? And you could do the same here. There's custom lowest first. We could do custom highest first. So it's just another way to play around with everything and see. Now let's talk about this other one here, no snowball. So basically this means that whatever your minimum payments are, that's just the amount of debt that you're going to be paying off each month. And the reason why I included this in here is to show you how important it is to be as aggressive as possible to try and add as much money to paying off your debt as possible every single month, because by only paying off $170 a month for $30,000, it's literally broke the Excel. There's only like, I think 30 years is the max here. And it's already saying that these debts will be paid off more than 30 years from now, right? So that's just crazy. I put it in as 30 in case people wanted to track their mortgage into this as well. But really, like, again, the point of paying down your debt is to get rid of it as soon as possible. This is under the strategy. This is not a strategy. I just want to be clear with that. I just wanted to put it in to show you how important it is to be as aggressive as possible. So please don't use this, and just use it as a reference point, okay? So let's go back to we'll call them the two more prominent strategies. So again, the snowball method and the avalanche method. So let's play around with, if we were able to find, let's say $200 more a month to be put towards our monthly payments. So let's say $500. You're gonna see some of the numbers change below, which is great. So $200 a month, and it basically cut our interest in half. It basically cut our months to pay off in half, which is really exciting. And the first debt is actually going to be paid off in only 9 months. So you can see how $200 is a lot of money, but if you're able to scrap out any extra money that you can to put towards your debt, it really makes a huge impact. So let's put this back to 300, and we'll go to the avalanche method just to see how that was. So originally, the interest paid is $6,800. So if we can find an extra $200 a month to get to $500, and bam, same thing. It's about half the amount of time, and half the amount of interest, which is excellent. So keep playing around with these. Find the best one that works for you. And this is, again, part of the planning phase. So you're going to want to, after we track it, play around with everything, make a plan, right? All plans don't work, which is why we are going to go to the adjust phase, right? Which we'll get to in a second. But keep playing around with these strategies. And down here, just as a little visual, we have our pay down schedule. So the yellow here is just showing how the snowball is going to be increasing. The red line is the interest due. And then again, you can see how long everything's going to be taking to pay off. So let's get to the next sort of phase of this. And again, these dates over here, month payoff, these are nice to see as a quick snapshot. But if you wanted to dive a little deeper, down in this payment schedule tab, you'll see here that everything is going to be summarized for you. So your creditor type, so basically everything that we've entered so far, how much interest we pay based on the strategy that we use. And again, we can go back to this calculator, say we want to, I want to do the snowball, go back to the payment schedule. It's going to update here for us, right? So everything's going to update based on the strategy that you use on the calculator tab. So again, here's the summary. We're going to scroll down, and you can see a more detailed action of what's happening here with your debt behind the scenes. So again, this date that I had you add, April 1st, right? So it's saying that May 1st is going to be the first payment month. And you can see here that if we go back to our calculator tab, the initial snowball is $330 because we owe $170 a month and we're paying $500. So the initial snowball is going to be here. So how it's going to work is this tab calculates what your minimum payment is for each of your debts. And then the initial snowball will be added to whichever debt payment that you decide to go first. So in this case, using the snowball method, the Visa is selected because it has the smallest current balance of $3,000. So that's why it's ordered in that way. So the $330 snowball plus the, I believe, $35 minimum payment that we have for the Visa is attacking this debt. Here we go. And as we saw, 9 months to pay this off. So this is a partial payment. And as you can see, the snowball continues to build, right? So it goes from 330 to 365 because it absorbed the minimum payment from the Visa. And now this 365 is going to your next debt, which in this case is the Amex. So it's going to be the 365 plus the Amex minimum payment of $60, which gets to 425. And you can see this keeps going and going and going. So it's really important to make sure that when a debt ends, you're moving all of the money that you used to pay every month towards that debt to the next one, right? Because you want it to keep building and building and building. And the faster and more money that you can throw at this, the better. And there's one other section that I wanted to show you. So let's say, for example, in December, you get a bonus at work, right? And you get a bonus for, I don't know, $1,500. You can add a one-off payment into this additional column, and I'm going to hit enter, and you're going to see what happens here. Boom. So it all of a sudden adds to this month's snowball, and it impacts the next debt, obviously, that it's going to help. So this column here is to add any additional money that you might have every month. Now, if you are going to just be paying the same amount every month, I would recommend adding that in here on the calculator tab to monthly payment, because that is where you should be. If it's a reoccurring amount that you believe that you'll be paying, you should just be putting it here. Again, like one-off bonuses or any extra money like that, birthday money, throw it in there, right? It also works the other way. So say, for example, you had an emergency this month and you were unable to pay any extra debt, you can put a negative here. And this will also calculate your totals after your amount. So you can see here that the month that we were not able to make an additional payment, the snowball was 0, and we're just making the minimum payment. So remember, always make your minimum payments. You're going to most likely be penalized if you're not even making your minimum payments. So the first step is make sure that you can pay your minimum payments. The next step is to try to pay more than your minimum payments. And then the next step after that is to be as aggressive as possible and make sure that you can put as much money towards this debt as possible. If you have no idea how much you can actually put, that means you're going to need to set up a budget. It's one of the most important things you can do for your personal finances. It's probably actually the first thing you should be doing, and it follows the same methodology of track, plan, adjust, succeed. So if you're interested in that and you want to say F debt, then make sure you check out this tutorial here.